Hi guys, so this is the main video that was planned for October, is all about OCD. So, that's right. So I was diagnosed in OCD with OCD, sorry, on my birthday in 2018. Just by dumb luck, I had an appointment on that day with my psychiatrist. She just said it out of nowhere. I've never had a proper psychological assessment or testing for any of my diagnoses. And since I've discovered the PDA thing, I'm not completely convinced I have OCD, but officially that's my diagnosis. I do have behaviors that could fit the model, and mostly I just want to raise awareness because there's a lot of misconceptions, which even I had myself. So in the media, OCD is, sorry, I'm looking at notes, is portrayed as excessive cleanliness and being neat and tidy, having your closet organized by color and your books in alphabetical order. Now, that could be OCD if the person experiences crippling anxiety, if their books aren't in the right order, if they're spending 3 hours organizing their books. If you just like to have your books alphabetical and knowing, impedes the rest of your functioning, that's not OCD. And the media has it all wrong. The media is terrible at mental disorders in general. I'll do a video on that. When it comes to OCD, what it actually is this is going to sound redundant, but it's an obsession, an obsessive thought, followed by a compulsive behavior. The obsessive thought causes you anxiety, so you do the behavior to try and relieve the anxiety. So, in the classic example of someone who washes their hands all day, their obsessive thought is about how their hands are dirty, and the washing is an attempt to make the thoughts go away, but it's actually a vicious cycle. It actually makes the anxiety worse, and the OCD gets worse and worse. But that's what it is in a nutshell. Um, and even I didn't have a full understanding of this. When I was diagnosed, I wouldn't say I argued, but I questioned it. I thought of a family member of mine who cleans the washing machine before she puts her laundry in. This family member is very classic, like the media displays OCD, with neat cleaning and the neat and tidiness. This stuff is very prevalent in my family, so I guess it's not surprising it came up with me. If you look up the term affective spectrum, it's a whole bunch of mostly mental disorders that tend to occur in families at a higher than average rate. Definitely my family. So I think I was doomed to have some anxiety issue. Um, so with me, I'll give you a couple of examples of what my OCD can look like. Yes, okay. Sorry, I'm very tired. I'm a little out of it today. So I'll give you a few different examples now of how my OCD manifests. So the big one, I can remember doing this as a child as far back as my memories go. Things have to be in sets. I'm putting sets in quotations because it may not actually be a set. My brain's decided it's a set. So as a child, it was toys. So I had, Polly Pocket, Littlest Pet Shop, all these 90s girls' toys that had tiny pieces. They were the most meticulously organized pieces ever. Because if Barbie was missing a shoe, the toy was now wrong and I could not play with it. I didn't understand this at the time. Now I know it was OCD. It felt wrong. Right? So the obsession was every single piece of the set has to be accounted for. So the compulsion was having ridiculously organized toys to try to alleviate the anxiety that went along with that. As an adult, it tends to manifest more with like books or DVDs. When I moved my bookshelf from one part of the house to the other, I actually took pictures of the shelves, so I could see exactly which books were on which shelf and in what order, so everything got put back exactly the same, or else it would be wrong and it would not feel right. And it's not about being tidy. Not that the books have to be in a certain order, But since they already were in that order and on those particular shelves, it had to stay the same when the bookshelves moved to the basement. And this one goes back, and it waxes and wanes, and this is normal as well. When I'm overall more anxious, the OCD behaviors get more anxious. I've taken pictures of my grocery shopping in the past because putting it away is upsetting me because now I'm breaking up the set. So my cell phone is a mixed blessing because now I can take pictures of every little thing, which at first seemed great, seemed like a great way to relieve the anxiety, but it's probably just making it worse. Probably just giving me a new compulsion. Um, Another thing is, what was the one about? Oh, yeah. So another thing, well, I'll give you two more, and they're kind of related. So one is, and these seem to be more recent, and again, they wax and wane with my overall anxiety. So one is fear on missing out on information. So when I go to the library, I have to stop myself from checking out like all 12 books on the same subject because my brain is telling me this book might have this piece of information and this book doesn't. What if this information is crucial and I miss it? My brain is looking for certainty, which is a thinking error in OCD. So I have to stop myself because I don't want to read 12 books on the same subject. If I was having fun doing it, I would do it, but I'm not having fun. It's my anxiety controlling me. So I have to stop myself from doing that, which is not easy. And sometimes I will look up the author to see what else they wrote. I will be going through the references, looking for book titles, because I want to make sure. What if that author wrote something else that's useful? What if one of the referenced books is useful? I don't want to miss out on this information. And again, I can take pictures of pages and things with my phone, which I think makes it worse. This one doesn't seem to be as bad lately, but it waxes and wanes, so who knows. The third one I'm going to give you, kind of a combination of the first two, maybe. Or maybe it's its own thing again. This is a fear that websites, whether it's an Amazon wish list, a YouTube playlist, what have you, what if that website crashes and I lose that information and I'll never know again what's in that YouTube playlist? And I can hear how absurd this sounds. But in the moment when your anxiety has hijacked your brain, when this OCD thing is taking over your brain, rationality goes out the window. In that moment, it makes perfect sense. So what I've taken to doing, and I haven't done a lot of this lately either, but again, it waxes and wanes. I was taking screenshots of any website that I had a list on, a playlist or a wish list or Facebook follows. I have screenshots of, so if someone takes a page down and that page no longer exists, I still have a record that um, so I would say yeah, those are probably the three biggest ones. Um, And I've actually had to change the way I'm using social media. This is kind of a fourth one, I guess, because I discovered that you can save pictures off of Facebook, and then I became obsessive about saving every single picture and making sure I didn't miss one, even ads that would come by. And then that spread into other blogs and websites, and it was becoming a huge part of my day. So I've substantially cut back on my social media use and what blogs and stuff I'm looking at because that's the only way to make it stop. If I just don't do the thing, then I can't engage in the compulsion. That's the best way to make it stop. So far, that's going well. And I also worry a lot about children. There's a number of examples in this one. I'll give you one. There's probably about 4 or 5 things. And this didn't start till after I've been working in childcare for a little while. So one thing is sleep. I worry that children aren't getting enough sleep. So I was in a mall around 8:30 p.m. and there was a toddler in a stroller, and I had to walk out of the mall because the obsessive thoughts started in my head that this toddler needs to be in bed, he needs to get this many hours of sleep, or this is going to happen. And the compulsion was to walk up and lecture the mother to make myself feel better that she was getting this information. I knew I couldn't do that. I knew it would just be weird and cause a scene. So I walked out of the mall. It was the only way I could cope. I could not cope seeing that toddler. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up now. I might come back in the future. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna give you some more examples. I think I think this is really good for people to hear how something that you can't see, something that the media gets so wrong, how it's actually a very serious, can be very debilitating. So a couple other things with children. I worry about weight. I hate seeing overweight children, and it's all the same sort of. I want to go lecture the parent. Sort of the obsession is, oh, I'm worried about this child. The compulsion is, I have to tell the parent. So I worry about when I see overweight children, children not using boosters or proper car seats in the car. Absolutely drives me around the bend. And toilet training. The kids are toilet training later and later. And that one's a little different because I start freaking out about the environmental impact of diapers. And again, I start getting really upset when I see like a 3-year-old in a diaper. Um, which makes working in childcare interesting. So, excuse me. So it's worth mentioning that there is therapy for OCD. It's called exposure and response prevention. So in the classic germaphobe OCD scenario, you might make the person hold on to a doorknob and then not let them wash their hands. Because what's going to happen, they're going to get incredibly anxious at first, and then eventually it's going to subside. The anxiety can't build forever, it will subside. And once they've done it enough time, the connection in their head between touching doorknob and now I need to wash my hands because I have a horrible disease, that will be broken because their brain will see that that's not what's actually happening. So I know I'm some manner I could benefit from therapy like that. Good luck to me on finding it or being able to pay for it. It's very specialized. A lot of psychotherapists think they know about OCD, but they actually often don't know how much they don't know. That's what I've heard. I actually had one ask me, "What do you think caused this?" And I kind of want to bang my head against the wall because OCD doesn't work like that. She kept saying, "Well, what happened in your childhood? Blah blah blah." No, there's no evidence. It can run in families and stuff like that, but there's no evidence that a prior event has triggered this. It's not known to work like that. Even Freud would try to psychoanalyze OCD patients, what we now know to be OCD patients, to find their psychic injury. I'll talk about Freud in another video. And he would come up with nothing. Even he conceded it didn't work like that. So finding someone who actually knows, is actually trained, and something I could actually pay for, because the government's not going to cover it. So good luck to me. Yeah, that's another thing. People always say, "Well, get help." It's not that easy. So I hope I've dispelled some misconceptions about OCD, and that it doesn't have to have anything to do with cleanliness and tidiness. I'm actually kind of a slob. You would not you would not call me a fastidious cleaner. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks, guys.